Are you on a team that uses Scrum to develop software, but it seems like everybody's frustrated because it just puts pressure on the team and doesn't actually help get a better product out? Well, stay tuned because we're going to talk about the secret that people don't like to talk about with Scrum. Hi, I'm Jamie Edwards, and at Healthy Software Developer, I want to help you have a sustainable career where you don't get burned out, you don't get pushed around by managers that don't really understand how to develop software, and you can get back to enjoying your career again. In 1995, two well-known software developers presented the concept of Scrum in Austin, Texas, and just 5 years later, a group of software developers got together at Snowbird Resort in Utah, where they came up with the Agile Manifesto. You may have already heard of this. And if you're on a team that's been developing software and you're using Scrum, all kinds of consultants make a lot of different money off going into companies and telling them what Scrum really is. But there's a secret to it that was the whole reason that Scrum was come up with that people don't talk about today, and it's really been missing from the conversation. So in this video, I want to help you understand what it is so you can share it with other managers and people that are confused about Scrum to just get back to building great software. Well, what do most software professionals experience when they go to do Scrum or use Scrum methods on a software project? One of the things we all know is the daily stand-up. Everybody gets around into a team room and they talk about where they are, asking and answering 3 questions. We've all also experienced user stories. This is really the way that a Scrum team usually describes the requirements or what the software is supposed to do. And we've also experienced a lot of estimation, something software developers and UX people and operation people hate because it's really putting a lot of effort into trying to essentially guess how long it'll take to do something that usually the company's never done before. A backlog or a huge list of ideas, usually coming from the founders of the company or managers that are responsible for understanding the customer, people like product managers. And burn down charts. You may have had to look at these or been questioned how well you were developing software by someone who's managing you based on how quickly the team's able to produce value. And that's a key to the secret I'm going to talk about today. So what are the steps in a typical software product? Why do we use Scrum? Well, every software product, somebody does have a vision. A founder usually comes up with an idea, or a manager at a company, or hopefully in a more inclusive environment, which I've talked about in my video on creative software development. Anybody in the team can come up with ideas for products, but somebody comes up with a vision, and that usually kicks off a product. After that, the team has to build requirements of some sort, and in Scrum, they're called user stories. Designing and constructing or building the software. This is the thing most software developers are most intimate with, and it's what they want to do the most, but there's all this other process usually wrapped around what you get to do. Testing, whether you're on a team that does test-driven development, you've got separate testers that maybe even manually test the product. At some point, all the work you do in a sprint, if you're doing Scrum, has to be tested. And releasing the software. This is the thing that the business usually cares the most about, and it's the whole reason they measure things to try to feel good when they know that the software has gone out there and they feel like, job well done. So what's really missing from Scrum? What's the secret that people don't like to talk about? Well, it's really that the whole reason that we started doing Scrum over 25 years ago in the industry is because people are wrong. People are wrong about what customers want. People are wrong about how the software should be designed. People are wrong about their estimates. People are wrong about how well the product's been tested. They find out they're wrong about their security policies, and this is why huge leaks show up in the media. They find out they have the wrong skills on the team. People that thought they were good at one thing really aren't. They find out that what customers have been telling them they most want in the product, they won't even pay for. So what Scrum's really about is wrapping everything that you do to develop software, user stories, building it, testing it, releasing it, with 2 extra steps that go on the front and on the back. The one that goes on the back is feedback. when you release your software to a customer, if you're using Scrum, the whole purpose of it is to be able to find out, how am I wrong? What did I deliver that it isn't the right thing? And then after realizing that, the step on the front is adapting. If you find out the customer wants something different than you gave them, you have to adapt and change the backlog. If you don't even bother using Scrum. And the reason managers love to use Scrum and they don't like to talk about this secret, the fact that it's about feedback and it's about adapting and what's wrong, is because companies like to use Scrum to put pressure on people. They like to force people to try to get as much in a 2-week period done as they can, and they use it as a way to squeeze effort out of people and really stress them out to try to feel like they're getting the most money's worth for software developers and UX people and operations people. But the secret of Scrum is it's not about getting work done. It's about adapting. So now that you know the secret, why isn't your team actually benefiting from finding out, where are we wrong? I did a video yesterday on, is your team lead a narcissist? And you can go back and watch that or click the link in the description. But most times in the over 30 companies I've worked with, when I found a team isn't doing Scrum, it's because nobody cares about adapting the product. Nobody wants to admit they're wrong. They just want to keep marching ahead and building the vision that's in the founder's mind, and they don't really look at how much money they're wasting. Don't be that person. So now that you know the secret of Scrum, leave me some comments below. How are you dealing with projects you're on maybe that don't even adapt? How have you been able to convince people to adapt using Scrum? If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, click the little bell icon, and you'll be notified whenever I post new videos. I'm also on 4 podcast platforms: Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, and SoundCloud, and you can like me on Facebook. So until next time, thanks.